everyone, welcome to Canal Days, and thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Jericho organization in Holyoke, Massachusetts. I'm your host, Carrie, here with my co-host, local historian and founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Coleman. As your personal tour guide, Robert will lead you through some of the most iconic sites and the legends of historic significance throughout New England's preeminent and pivotal state of Massachusetts. With his expert insights, every monument memorial story comes to life. Afterwards, don't forget to check out his website, holyokecanaltour.org, to access the full Canal Days video and podcast series. Also, check out his free in-person public tours he offers throughout Western Mass and his schedule for these special events. Please keep an eye out to be one of the first to catch a sneak peek of the upcoming special events in 2026. You can also book personalized private tours for groups of all sizes tailored to your interests. To discover all that and much more, remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org.
Alright, so this is the house in front of you. This is Jericho home. It has printed on it Hallelujah House, because that was the name of their house when they were on Whitney Avenue and they had a fire there. And they came out here in 1978 and they've been here since then. So the whole program is like 53 years old and it's a beautiful location. This home is from 1912. It's a replacement for the old Lewis Smith's home that was about 200 feet away. In fact, this down here used to be a road. Northampton Street wasn't exactly where it is for its own length, and here's one of the locations that went inbound for a while. And you see many statues around here, 2 floors plus upper floor attic situation, and they put a covered walkway because a lot of the patrons of this area are disabled, so whether they're children or adults now. We're on a very busy street, Northampton Street, very close to the Connecticut River. We're in Smith's Ferry area of Holyoke. The ferry used to be basically right across the street from us here. Now Jericho has built a lot of structures on it, and we're going to see some of them during this video. We're going to make a second video and walk very far out to those grounds. And then there's going to be a presentation video, hopefully, because I'm giving a presentation on the Smith family and how it led to this Jericho land. So this building says Jericho, where all are welcome. The Malone and Ladisky Educational and Pastoral Center. And they rent that out, besides also having their own events in there, trying to get some money. Beyond is the Hart Hervey Smith home. Now we're going along the side towards the chapel. The chapel was built in the 1980s. And here it's really nice because they have a Sunday Mass once a week at noontime. And they also have many other things going. So this is the Reverend Robert Wagner Celebration Center. So it's for masses. And we'll point towards the left. There's an outdoor altar, and behind is another statue. In the corner, you might be able to one step over here, and there's an eternal flame going, run off of methane gas. And behind that is a nice structure. It used to be a fireplace, but this whole area to the left of the celebration center is a reflection area where you can come in, say prayers, or bring your youngster here, whether you're disabled or not. And it's nice grounds, very well manicured. And as we sheep around, we can see the beautiful oak trees and pine trees and lots more statues. You get to see the back of the beautiful Schaefer home, and before that it was another family's home. And so this home alone is not to its fourth owner. The Lewis Smith home, which is gone, was its replacement. To the right side you see a swim pool, covered now since this November. Beyond that is a playground set with a little playhouse beyond that itself. And then the Therapeutic Equestrian Center starts. There's a stable. There's another stable in the very back, and the third one in the very back. And the barn for the horses is the one towards the left. And then the equipment for the horses towards the right. And then they would take off on the paths that lead off and towards the back. When they first bought this property, it went a lot further back, but they sold or rented out portions towards the left and right. Right, and we're gonna have another video where I go way back there and walk as far as the land goes, and I'll be able to show you where they have a Stations Across area, where they have Gethsemane area, and in the foreground you see that you have an apparition of Mary. Probably it's the apparition that was in France. It might have been one in Portugal. Well, it's a nice scene there. It's in a grotto, and they also have another grotto in the very back of the range. So there's a lot here, a lot of nice planted trees, manicured land, and so you can see a lot of this on my website, but you can also visit on your own just to enjoy it yourself and learn about it as much as possible. Let's go for a walk on the land of Jericho. This is the land of the former Lewis Smith family with his 11 children. They carved out an incredible amount of land where they made apple cider vinegar, where they had a ferry, where they raised their many different families, because there was 5 Smith's homes basically in a row. And we broke this into 2 videos. One is this portion very close in towards the Hallelujah house, which is here now. And this video I'm much further back in. So you're going to be able to see quite a bit. Now, back here we got the Equestrian Center, and then the house itself, and then the Robert Wagner Celebration Center is in here. And there's a fireplace with a lot of memorial names on the very back of it. And what I'm going to do is, you see a fountain over there. What I'm going to do is walk backwards and show you the other features that have a tarred path over towards a restaurant, and then an outdoor pavilion. It's very large. It's mostly for weddings to happen. But back here, this is the house of Lewis Smith. It's gone, but in 1785 it was erected, and it raised inside of it all the 11 children of Lewis Smith. Now I was able to figure that out through lots of research. It's hard to do research on these very old areas and homes, especially if you're not there anymore. So this was his land back here too. His land was vast. It would cover almost a square mile. And his house was in this grassy area towards the left of the path. And towards the right is the outdoor pavilion and a gazebo in the far distance. So it's gone, but its replacement is still here. And during the presentation, I'm going to talk about the house and the family that live there. So now we're going to go back onto the path that's going to lead us out to the Stations Across, a place where the horses would have gone on trails, onto a pond that might be natural. There's a spillway to it, but by the look of it, it might be natural anyways, without the spillway. And they call this the Pilgrim of Life, Stations of the Cross for suffering, the Mystery of the Rosary for prayer, the Grotto of Our Lady of Lourdes for intercession. So that's what they have out here. And you can see here's the first of the Stations of the Cross. Jesus before Pontius Pilate. They have a bench with a little plaque on it, and then behind is the station itself. So there's going to be 14 of these. Only 13 of them are still in place, so one must have fallen at one point. And you meet them as you go up this long path. It does wind around towards the end, but straight in the end. And you can imagine they used to grow apple cider vinegar out here. That was from this late 1700s into the early 1800s. And then he changed it over when he died. His son, Charles Smith, changed it over into a tree farm. And they used to grow trees, and he got very rich on that. Okay, one thing they do out here, they take boats out to the pond. And for instance, the disabled children go out there with, of course, supervisors, and they go on boating activities. So they have a lot of activities out here. And a lot of benches and rocks have plaques on them. Here's another station across. Okay, in this area, continues to the station across, but we're going to take a detour for a while again. This is the Gethsemane Gardens. Right, and this is a place where you're going to see depictions of the cross of Jesus. This is a place for quiet reflection for the rosary. All right, there's one depiction inside there, another one towards the side. But then there's one out here with just a upright post of the cross with a piece of rope. And then here, this is the thorn that Jesus wore. Right. Then the next station along has Jesus dragged his cross. It wasn't level, and that's what they're showing here, carrying of the cross. Okay, and then there's a area up here on this small hillock where they show all three crosses. Jesus was the middle one. He had a sign up top, I and R.I., and the others two were other people being crucified that day. He was crucified with nails, and the other two were crucified with ropes around their arms. So that was a little detour we took. And you get great views from this height, both of the buildings, of the pond. So it's a wonderful place to come contemplate and do what they want you to do, Stations of the Cross, Rosary, and the Gretel area. Alright, so we're back on the Stations of the Cross, and you get to see them again. Jesus being scourged. Okay, I find another detour here, up a walkway. And here's a big monument stone, memorial stone, in memory of Sister Carmelina Tarantino, del Croce, the Congregation of the Passionate Sisters of the St. Paul of the Cross. And then it has a couple of prayers. It tells you she was born 1937 in Italy, immigrated to Ontario province, became a nun 1969, professed 1977, and deceased 1992. And she's buried in this Holy Cross Cemetery of Thornhill, Toronto, Ontario. So she is memorialized here and a few other places across North America. Here's a memorial to a child, Benjamin Ling Low, who died at 2 years old in 2013. So we're close to the grotto area, so we'll make another detour here. And we're also coming to the end of the Stations of the Cross. This one is when they take Jesus out of the tomb. Here's a beautiful outdoor altar in memory of the Curran family, but behind it is the grotto itself. And it's a true grotto. It wasn't put up to make like a grotto, so this is embedded into the rock face. And you can see the Virgin Mary, and then you can see a young child out here saying a prayer. Looks like a young girl. Now remember, they used to take horses out here, and this far. When the Smith family owned it, they owned up to the top of Mount Tom Range. Then they started selling it off by the late 1800s. And the horses would go all around here. And there is a path that you can keep going. So you can keep going along the edge of this stream here and go onwards. So it's a nice loop for itself. In the back of the Equestrian Center, there's a couple of barns and corrals. So an excellent setup around here, and it's quite beautiful. So one last step. This is on the edge of this pond. There's a spillway over there, but either this pond was landscaped to be a pond and stopping up a stream, or it's natural. I want to find it out. It is on very old maps, so like 1890 maps have it on it. So I still wonder if it is natural. That'd be wonderful. All right, so I'll give you one more sweep around. And thank you very much for coming along.